Okay.
Okay, so we're back again finally after a little hiatus, and if Raj, you move your head for a second, this is Star Trek, so only appropriately we have lens flare. Now, before we, as I'm sure you've gathered, we're here for Star Trek 2 Into Darkness, and before we begin, I promised this to Sarah months ago, so she is our big Trekkie of the group, and as such, she has some choice words to say about the Star Trek reboots, so I promised her the first 5 or so minutes to say her piece, and everyone shut up and listen.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm a Trekkie. I grew up watching TNG, DS9, Voyager. My mom has all 3 of those series on DVD, and I've seen them all multiple times. That being said, I'm a big fan of the previously established canon, and while the J.J. Abrams 2009 and now 2013 reboot is brilliant for starting the series over, getting new fans involved, I kind of think it's a little debatable to call it Trek. They are fun, entertaining sci-fi action-adventure films that pay homage to Trek. They have the tropes, but they destroyed all the previously existing canon! Why? Okay. You explode Vulcan, you kill Spock's mom, Spock and Uhura never had a sex life! Why do they make out? Why? That is not how Vulcans have sex! They do the Ponfar! Why? That pisses me the fuck off. I mean, yes, it is a slight homage to a bit of inside trivia in the original series. That there was an episode which was actually the first interracial kiss aired on television, and it was between Kirk and Uhura. It was originally written for Spock and Uhura, but when William Shatner found that out, he said, no, if anybody's going to kiss Uhura, it's going to be me. I mean Kirk. So I don't know if they got Spock and Uhura together in this reboot as an homage to that bit of inside trivia, or if it was entirely coincidental. I don't know, but Spock never had a sex life, and that annoys me. They are very fun films, but I question as to whether they are Trek, because they are rewriting everything, which from, like I said, a marketing standpoint, absolutely genius. But from a Trek standpoint, a little annoying.
Okay, so on that note, how does this one compare?
Like I said, fun. Has the tropes, has the con, except Spock says it.
A spoiler.
What? We have spoilers on this show?
Yeah, Nintendo.
Yeah, that's...
Yes.
It's okay. Well, it's like you didn't know already, but...
Yeah. So there's that. I did like how they mentioned Section 31. That's a bit of Trek trivia that does not get much ado. It was mentioned in about 3 or 4 episodes of Deep Space Nine. It was alluded to in the original series, but there's a lot of mystery and mystique tied up in Section 31. So that didn't make me happy to hear that mentioned and alluded to in this film. So that was cool.
Okay, so on that note, now you guys are free to talk. What do you guys think? Okay, so I like this movie. I'm not a huge Trekkie. Of course, that being... Oh, wow, line just got a lot better.
Yeah, because I blocked the...
Thanks. What?
You're not...
Oh, yeah, I'm wearing the Star Trek shirt.
I really enjoyed this movie.
But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a huge Trekkie. That being said, I've still watched Wrath of Khan multiple times. And the only one who hasn't seen it is... But yeah, there was a lot. The acting was great. The action pieces were great. We saw this in IMAX at the Tech Museum,
which was amazing.
Which looked.
I'm okay. I'm just gonna say I'm a big fan of the IMAX.
Grant, you're a
format.
video audio snob.
Yeah, I mean, here's the issue: the fact that, okay, technically speaking, like, it is good to see it on IMAX. You know, the way it's meant to be seen, because like, one, we're actually able to get that resolution or that image shift that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise. Mm-hmm. But on the dome, they cut off like chunks of the image. It was stretched out like as it got further to the edges, which just got irksome.
And that's why I mentioned earlier, I think, to Michael, I was like, I really want Michael to experience the IMAX theater at the Metreon in San Francisco, which is a proper, flat, 2-story tall screen with gigantic speakers behind it, and it's amazing. Like, the audio nerd in me just really enjoyed that, because they did this whole presentation before the movie with all the speakers and the lights were flashing. I was like, I really am enjoying this.
That being said, some shots in this movie still did look pretty fucking spectacular.
Oh, definitely.
They did,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Like, a lot of the space traveling scene just looked fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
On the big dome screen.
Yeah.
I mean, not all the scenes worked. Like, it took a while to kind of get used to it because like the shaky cam really got disorienting, especially in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like it takes a while to get used. So once you did, I mean, doesn't always work. I noticed some blurred shots. I noticed some like resolution always weren't up to snuff. But
As I said, that's mostly with the dome, not necessarily.
Right, that's what the
yeah,
dome,
yeah,
right.
and that so it makes it more obvious.
Right, yeah.
But overall, I still immensely enjoyed the experience, especially as the first IMAX movie I've ever seen.
And for like $13, which we paid with student price, it's not much more than a traditional night showing at a regular theater of like 11 to whatever, 50 or whatever. Like, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'd say so. So if you're in San Jose, check that out.
Yes.
Specifically, because they don't really play that many commercial movies in the Tech Museum. Now back to the movie itself, though. I think there's a lot of this movie that did work. I thought there were some kind of random elements there that they kind of introduced but didn't really do anything with.
Okay,
or
yeah.
like served absolutely no purpose. Like, for example, the very beginning of the movie, and again, as I'm sure you've gathered, we're going to go with full spoilers as usual in this. So if you don't want anything spoiled, or that's already been had,
You
Sorry.
can turn this review off right now.
just turn it off, go see the movie, it's fun.
Right.
It is fun if you like sci-fi action adventure films, or if you like Trek-like films, you'll enjoy this.
That being said, now I've spoiler territory. What happens at the very beginning of the movie is they're basically, it starts off like an Enterprise mission to save like an indigenous species from being destroyed by a volcano, but in the process they get seen by the indigenous species and they start worshiping the image of the ship.
much like a TNG episode called "Who Watches the Watcher," breaking Prime Directive rules and being seen by the indigenous.
We're gonna really appeal to the Trekkies in this one.
I'm a Trekkie.
No, it's appreciated. Just pull in that audience.
Personally, for me, like, considering this is like a reboot, like a remake of like the Star Trek series, obviously nothing's gonna be like the original. You can't really just
Well,
replicate
except
it.
for one
Except the-
major
yeah.
thing. One
But-
very
well, we're
major
gonna-
thing. We'll get to
We'll
that.
get to that later. But I mean, like, just seeing this independently and not thinking about the previous things, I think
Which unless you've actually watched Wrath of Khan, is pretty hard not to do.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm kind of in agreement with Raj, though, like, except for the independent thing, because, I mean, they even do explain why everything's kind of different, but yet at the same time not quite so much, because...
Well, it's like, I think it's one of the more alternate reality theories. Like, a lot of things would be different, but some things will pretty much be the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, I mean, it makes sense, because, I mean, So you said you saw the 2009 one, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, Spock goes back in time. Well, so do those Romulan bastards. But, yeah, I mean, they're just kind of creating that little butterfly effect going on, where, like, obviously that means certain things are going to be changed, and that really can't be helped.
Change in timelines, alternate realities, different choices cause different effects.
Which even then can also explain the whole Uhura Spock thing, because...
It still pisses me off because that is not how Vulcans have sex.
Then again, they never actually had
they
sex.
never have sex.
They just
though.
kissed,
They just
but that's
kissed,
it.
Yeah.
That you've seen.
Hey,
In the bedroom, he's very
Okay.
logical.
Ostrich effect. We don't see it, therefore it didn't
Why do you
happen.
think it makes this sign? Anyway.
Okay, I'll rephrase. That is not how Vulcans mate.
Well, they
Once
weren't
again,
mating,
that's
they were
not
just
yeah.
kissing.
It's part of the mating process.
Yeah, but it's just a kiss.
Or is it?
Oh.
Part
But
of
hey, we don't know, so
Prosper.
it's, what we didn't see didn't happen in movies.
Yeah.
But yeah,
In this case, we never saw them. You know what I mean?
There's a porno for it somewhere.
Sadly,
But,
probably there is.
On that topic, I do kind of like how this also results in, huge spoiler, in terms of who our little Jonathan Harrison character is.
Like that. Like nobody didn't know this was coming.
Yeah.
Okay, John Harrison is Khan. We all pretty much knew this from the very first trailer. When they keep saying, "I'll have my vengeance," they teased it relentlessly.
yeah, but
yeah.
this is also good acknowledgement of the fact that, because timelines are altered, this kind of affects how he would have been introduced as well.
No, I like that they changed
Yeah,
that. Like they
because, like-
specifically mentioned because of the explosion of Vulcan that
Right.
they found me sooner than before Kirk did in the series.
Right.
It's like, and I like that. I thought that
Yeah.
was clever.
I thought their explanation of things was really good compared to a lot of movies where they don't explain things well. This did a good job.
Like Oblivion.
This did do a better job than Oblivion. I'm going to agree.
Wow, you and I actually agree on something.
We've agreed before.
It's only on
like Scary Movie 5. So.
And movie 43.
Yeah. Anyway, where are we going? So yeah, Khan's in this, and he's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who just fucking owns this part.
He was basically just chaotic, neutral Sherlock Holmes.
And what is wrong with that? No,
Did I say there's anything wrong with that? No, I'm just saying that's who he was.
I think there's more to it than that, though. I mean, like, of course, it has the same kind of deep voice to it, and it's still fucking awesome.
And the fact that he has a keen insight, superior physical strength that would seem understated unless physically tested.
And
this one's much more of a
regenerative blood cells.
Yeah, because that's like Sherlock. But the thing, he's much more of a snake in the grass than Sherlock was. Like, he's much like, I mean, yeah, Sherlock's evil and he's calculating, but this character, he's much more kind of like, just you can feel it's just slither. It's hard to describe, really.
It's like you could, like, for me, like, because I didn't watch any of the previous series and stuff, and you know, I just got into Star Trek kind of like when the first movie, and you know, just my mom was just
you're part of the demographic that the reboot was marketing towards.
Right. So you know, just for me, I didn't know about what was gonna happen, but I could tell, like, I was like, something's going on here, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and then like right before it happened, I was like, oh,
it's like Hinton, Wrath of Khan, nudge, nudge, nudge.
There's going to be, like, even from the very beginning, like, you hear Spock say the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, which is a line taken directly from Wrath of Khan.
And that was one of the tropes that they included, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, granted, that doesn't mean it was going to do Wrath of Khan, because it's the first Star Trek used I don't believe in no-win scenarios, which was also in Wrath of Khan. But still, nice. It was definitely a hint, and I kind of knew it was coming because A, they hinted in all the trailers, and B, John Harrison is way too generic of a name to not be a red herring. Because, like, let's face it, I mean, you have, like, what are the other Star Trek villains? Maybe, like, Nero in the last one. Of course, you have Khan. What else are the other ones? Like, just odd names to it. Like, there's no way they would go something generic as John Harrison. It might as well.
And I usually have a hard time remembering the names of the individual villains. I remember more the names of the groups, like the Obsidian Order and the Borg and the Tal Shiar.
Just saying, though, isn't anyone a little weirded out by the fact that a man named Khan Singh, a Muslim Indian name, is British?
okay, there are
and
a
the
lot
whole
of
enemy
Indians,
of
a lot of Indians and Muslims in the UK.
I know, but seriously, like, he was the whitest of white, man. He's pastier than me, for Christ's sake.
Well, like, that's something that I kind of liked about it, is, like, this is a very different interpretation from Khan from, like, the Star Trek 2, the original one, but it is very much
he's no
his
longer
own
a
part.
Hispanic guy portraying a Muslim Indian.
Well, it's like, it's like he talks very differently, acts very differently, but it still works because Benedict just makes that his own creation.
Also, he was manipulated, though, so that also...
True, that
can factor
you can play that into it as well.
And he was also frozen for however long.
Yeah, they
slightly
take the
less time than the
take
series.
They take the equation, just plug in the new guy, and you know, it definitely worked because they gave him his own thing.
Yeah, it's like he did his own thing with it. He wasn't tied down by previous character interpretations.
Once again,
I like that.
And if
said,
they tried to do that, it would not have worked.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I said, once again, this faction, the whole ripple effect that's been going on, which I love how they take advantage of in these movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I like that. I just like that actor in general.
He did great.
He was fantastic. Great. He was like the best part of the movie. And there was a lot of other great actors. Like Chris Pine is still great as Kirk, and you got Zachary Quinto is still fantastic as Spock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And of course you have Simon Pegg as Scotty,
which is awesome.
It's amazing.
Simon Pegg is great as Scotty. I will give you that.
Great Scottish accent.
He is.
Well, it helps, you know.
He's the perfect choice for a modern day Scotty.
Yeah. And who played Bones? I forget the actor's name.
Carl Urban.
Yeah, I fucking love him.
He actually makes a pretty good McCoy in this.
It's like, I once gave a cesarean to something octuplets.
A Gorn.
A Gorn. Let me tell you, those little bastards bite. And then you had like Alice Eves as the biologist or whatever. She was okay. She didn't really do much.
Yeah. Once again, another Khan reference.
Wait, which one?
The blonde.
The blonde.
It was Kirk's wife from the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, she played her.
Wallace.
Was it his wife? I thought it was just his, like,
Carolyn. No, Carolyn Marcus.
Carolyn Marcus. Yeah.
I know it's the same character.
She was the daughter of the guy who's like, I want more.
Yeah, we didn't see that guy's that come out.
Oh, let's not forget RoboCop was in the movie.
Yeah, RoboCop. He plays this admiral who very clearly is going to be the villain when he goes, "War with the Klingons is inevitable, but you'll go out there anyway, and this is in no way a trap."
Okay, President Nixon.
Just make sure you go down the Cleons without my prior knowledge.
Like, make sure you get out of there as fast as you can.
And here's a...
Is it supposed to be blinking red?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
means taking a photo. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Blinkety, 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 blink.
Anyway. What was I gonna say? Oh, damn, I was gonna make a Watergate joke, but now the moment has passed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, he's in this movie, and what happens is, John Harrison, or Khan, basically it starts off the movie doing a terrorist attack on a secret area that kind of has a smoke screen as being, what was it?
It was
Oh, that
Archive.
pissed me. Okay, I'm
it
not
was,
gonna lie.
where they put all the old documents.
The
and shit.
archive.
Archives. There
Archive.
we go.
Oh, not
Couldn't think of
that.
the
But what
name.
followed from it was still boggles my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a... let me explain. Before we get into it. I know what you're gonna talk about, I know what you're gonna say, but let me build up to it.
Good movie, but this was one of my big plot gripes.
I have one too, and we'll get to that. That's much later in the movie. But anyway, so he blows up this archive, and of course, what happens afterwards is they call. And first off, they kill the black guy first in this movie. I want to point that out.
we
Who
weren't pointing
actually
that
was
out.
not wearing a red shirt.
No, he's not wearing a red shirt. He doesn't even have a name.
He was wearing a black shirt, which made it even more predictable. We're not gonna kill the black guy. We're gonna kill his black shirt too.
Well, you're not black, so it's okay.
She dies first in this guy.
God, seriously, it's like, how does black supersede red in Star Trek?
I don't know. I mean,
Anyways,
Most offensive moments of 2013. Here we come.
Oh, that was satire.
Benjamin
Anyways, Michael was
Sisko
trying to say something
never
here.
got killed, and he was
Who?
black.
Who did?
Ben Sisko, DS9.
I don't.
I only
watched
watched the
DS9.
original and maybe a couple episodes of.
Okay.
Anyway, Michael's
Anyway.
trying to say something.
So, of course, they loads up that, and of course, what happens is they get an emergency meeting. This is after one of the more annoying little plot twists of after being seen by the ship, so the indigenous species. Pike comes back, and he basically says, I'm taking your ship away from you, or they're taking your ship away from you and giving it back to me. I'll make you my first officer. And I was like, okay, if you want to do that, fine, I don't care, but don't at least make it last longer than 10 minutes.
I thought that could have been a lot more drawn out.
Because otherwise, well, that was pointless, because he literally gets the ship back 10 minutes later.
If I may, I do know why they did that though. They're using an excuse to still get Pike there in the little.
Just so they can kill him off.
Yeah, and that. Okay, this little thing is
And-
what bugged the crap out of me.
What?
So let me get this straight. You're going to have a top secret military meeting with some of the biggest captains and their first officers in a windowed
Unprotected.
above-ground building.
Unprotected.
Really? You're not gonna have a little security bunker?
Yeah.
Make it a little bit harder for someone to find you?
And guess what? Khan comes and tries to kill them all. It seems like a large security oversight. Yeah.
You see, this is why we can't have nice things.
It was a
Because
wall.
nice gets you killed.
There was a wall of windows, and all of a sudden a ship comes in and starts firing through the windows.
Yeah, and of course, only Kirk is smart enough to be like, hey, maybe this is dangerous.
Yeah. Kirk's like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, this
And
is a trap!
Even I was just like,
There's a trap.
It's a trap!
I feel like I was the only smart enough to realize not only is this dangerous, but having nothing but windows surrounding us might make things just a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, easier target.
So yeah, that happens, and of course, then Kirk gets pissed and wants to go after him because he kills Pike, and that's kind of what starts off the whole chain of events.
By he, we mean Khan.
Yeah, by Khan. Yeah, and then Khan goes off to Klingon.
Kronos.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which part of the Klingon Empire? That's what I was thinking of. And hides in like an abandoned sector, and then RoboCop sends him out there with 72 torpedoes to fire.
Photon torpedoes, the first that they've been introduced in this version of the Star Trek universe.
Yeah. So then, of course, they send them out that way. Of course, it's a trap because he really wants them to fire the torpedoes on the Kronos and start this huge, massive intergalactic war.
Kronos, by the way, is the Klingon homeworld.
Yes. So that all happens, and of course, Kirk doesn't do that. He captured Khan instead, and then he puts him in a clear glass room, and everyone and a lot of other
A clear glass room, which is a jail
Current
cell.
theme here.
And here's a thing that all people pointed out, and I'm gonna point out too, is sure, put the Psycho in the clear glass container. There's no
Okay.
way they'll ever get out.
That being said, though, we have no idea what material that shit's made of. It could be
Yeah.
like
It
they're
was-
playing things like bulletproof glass, which like unless you actually shoot it with a bullet like multiple points at the same point, or get like a goddamn missile to shoot it,
Yeah.
there's really no way you could bust those things open.
And this is, an advanced species.
And it's the future.
It's the future.
So it can be even greater.
They have floating cars. This is another thing that bugged me in this movie.
Okay, in retrospect, that kind of makes my little window argument invalid, but no, not valid. But still brings up the point. Why would they be out in the
bring
open?
up the flying cars, Raj.
What I didn't like was, why does San Francisco get destroyed in every freaking movie in
San
Hollywood?
Francisco doesn't get destroyed. That was London, wasn't it?
No, that was San Francisco.
Oh, that was San Francisco?
As the ship comes in, Alcatraz gets smashed, and if you notice, the guy is walking across the street, there's a floating cable car right there.
Because
Everything floats in the future, obviously.
Of course.
San Francisco is where Starfleet headquarters and Starfleet Academy is. At least that's one thing that they haven't changed
See,
yet.
she would know this.
Yes.
But back to the glass window things.
Yeah, why didn't they make those windows bulletproof? Unlike the window that they keep the prisoner in.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. It's valid again.
On that note.
Anyway.
That was like the main gripe I think that we all kind of had.
It's like one thing I did like about this movie is that it is very different from Wrath of Khan in that it builds up kind of a relationship between Kirk and Khan in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and they have to
the
help
enemy
each
of
other.
my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, and like what happens is later in the movie, when they get to Kronos, Kronos, whatever. Their ship warp drive just crashes completely and gets stranded there. But of course, since he doesn't fire the missiles, that means the Klingon warships don't ever find him and destroy him and start all war like RoboCop wants, because I don't know the actor's name.
What?
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller.
Okay.
I'm gonna call him RoboCop because it's more fun.
Why do I know this? I don't know. I just keep watching his terrible, crappy movies.
And his crappy guest appearance on Dexter. But anyway.
Oh, that wasn't crappy.
He annoyed the shit out of me in that one. But anyway.
And he died. That made it well. Spoiler. Also, he was Batman.
Anyway.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
Dark Knight
When?
Returns. The animated movies.
Oh.
You own the movies, damn it!
I forgot about that.
Anyways, back on topic here.
I know more about your films.
Anyway, back to RoboCop in Star Trek Into Darkness.
Okay, so what happens is then the RoboCop comes in to investigate why the hell things haven't completely just gone to shit yet in a massive warship, pretty much, the first only Enterprise ship that's been made directly for combat. And then, of course, you got the usual... Actually, it was kind of funny when the part where they kind of reveals what he really knows. He goes, Khan told me everything. He goes, well, shit.
That was pretty good.
It's like, I like that.
And I like the part where oh, you're here to save us, right? Because we accidentally broke down.
Yeah, it's like, I
You
like that.
talked to him, didn't you?
That being said, he wasn't that interesting of a villain.
No.
It was very much, it was clearly all for Khan. That was all set up for him. And that's one tiny little gripe I had is, it's like, I wanted more Khan as just a pure villain. Like, that's why
we did see that, though.
We did, but I wanted more. I'm kind of glad they kept him alive at the very end because that kind of leaves possibility they can bring him back if they wanted to.
Yeah, they put him back into stasis, right?
Yeah,
and then we get the legit Wrath of Khan.
Exactly, that's what
where someone dies from radiation again.
But since they brought it, they already revived this. I hope they don't.
So what?
Revive it again.
If they use Magneto for 5 goddamn X-Men movies, they can use
there's a big difference. Magneto basically popped up in almost everything X-Men related, unlike Khan, who was in one episode in one movie.
I still don't care. I still want more Khan.
Just the fanboy in Michael
You just
going,
love
I want
the
Khan.
character.
Exactly. What was that?
Khan! We have more Khan!
You just love the character.
I do. I love its interpretation of the character. I want more of it. I loved him when he just goes pure villain. I'm a sucker for a good villain. And
He is very compelling as
he is, and I thought
Khan.
his character was really interesting, especially the scene where he was telling his own story in the glass room again.
Yeah, I know. I did.
jail
I
cell?
really enjoyed that.
The jail cell, that was beautifully done.
I'm not gonna lie.
That.
I remember I never actually. I watched Wrath of Khan, but I didn't finish the episode that actually had him in because I just didn't get the chance to watch it again. I said to myself, "Hey, he's actually kind of a good guy in this because Kirk didn't maroon him. What was the issue again? You want to create mass justice?" Like, oh yeah, that was the issue.
But still, we kind of have his wrath against the Enterprise, but I kind of wanted to see more like a personal vendetta thing kind of going on.
I mean, he did do that a little bit with what's his face?
Spock?
No.
With the Admiral.
Yeah.
And that scene was fucking great too.
What was his name again?
Pike?
Peter Weller?
No, Peter Weller.
RoboCop, yeah.
RoboCop. We'll just continue calling him
Admiral
RoboCop.
Marcus.
But it's that scene where he fucking finds him at the very end of the movie, just fucking creepy as hell.
Yes, Peter Weller is creepy. Oh, you mean Khan?
Oh, Peter
I
Weller too.
definitely enjoyed how this
But it's
character
like
turned from compassionate a little. Like
Not really.
They tried to make him seem like it. Like, oh, my crew.
Well,
all I want is my crew. I care about everyone else except me. And then it turns into like, I'm gonna kill all of you.
By the way, nice little cameo for Leonard Nimoy.
Yes, I appreciated that. I was not surprised by it, considering.
Yeah, how many times did you retire?
About, I think we're at 5.
Yeah.
So, but to be fair, that's only like 5 seconds on a movie set. Like, sure, give me the ears, give me the eyebrows, let's do this and going.
It sounded like Wolverine's
And-
cameo in First
and
Class. I really enjoyed that.
It was it was a screen cameo, not a in-scene cameo like with the last Star Trek film.
Yeah, so it's like, it was appreciated, a little nod, and I liked it. So what happens in the movie, to give it a little background, is that, of course, the Admiral comes in, comes like, oh shit, well, I'm gonna have to kill you now, so pow pow. And then what happens is, of course, they get stranded again in the middle of, close to Earth, but not quite at Earth, but close to Earth.
And
And then he decides to team up, Kirk decides to team up with Khan in order to take him out, because he feels at this point he's the only hope. Now, Scotty, in the meantime, who quit after they learned that after he had to sign for the torpedoes, which he didn't know were in them, which turns out is his, Khan's frozen crew. He quits and he finds him in San Francisco, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And we're back to San Francisco. And then Khan tells him about, gives him some coordinates by Earth to check out, and asks Scotty to do it. And at that coordinates was the warship. This story is actually getting really convoluted now that I say it out loud. Now, at these coordinates was the ship, and of course, Scotty sneaks his way on board and stops it from basically completely destroying them.
Right.
Now, the Admiral is also the father to the hot chick.
Yes. Who had a totally useless underwear scene.
It was useless.
It was useless, but she is hot.
yeah,
Agreed on that one.
yeah, the underwear scene was basically there as one of Kirk's tropes of staring at hot girls.
And then the writer later apologized for it.
He's like,
but
that was totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
it was unnecessary, but I don't care.
Yeah. Like, we thank you.
Because look at that.
Yeah. And it wasn't too long, and it was PG-13, so.
Yeah, definitely.
it didn't go much beyond that. It's like, look, you're in underwear. You're welcome, audience.
It's like, turn around now. All right.
Now you all feel like pervs. Okay, now back to the movie.
Basically, you're in Kirk's shoes for,
Oddly enough, right before the line about the cesarean.
yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
So I'm not sure what that says. Anyway. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes.
You're
the
telling
ship.
a story. Now we're back
I got distracted by images of Elisa Eve.
She is pretty.
That what the actress's name is?
I looked her up. You have to know after a certain point.
You're like, who was that actress?
Like,
She was pretty good.
Google. Anyway. Now I feel like a perv again.
Back to the movie.
As well, we should.
Plot,
Okay.
exposition, continue.
So yeah, Scotty finds his way on the ship and defends him and completely blowing up the Enterprise. And of course, after that, they see an opportunity, and Khan and Kirk go on the ship to basically, take the Admiral out.
Right.
Now, as pretty much very predictable early on, Khan turns on him after they get to the Admiral. He just has this surprisingly brutal for PG-13
That
movie
was
death
intense.
scene.
That
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to kill everyone.
Well, it's like that, and it's more like when he kills the Admiral, like he holds his head, you can hear like the crunching sounds,
Yeah,
like just
I
a
was-
pop.
I was pretty surprised because this is a PG-13 movie. I was surprised it went that
As
far.
long as they don't show it, it's all good.
Well, it's like that's kind of like what characters like this though. It's like they are cool and calculating, but when they finally lose their shit, it's
Right.
huge. And
Yeah.
it's scary
Oh,
as hell.
Yeah.
He
Like-
basically crushed the Admiral's head.
yeah, and that's what I loved about, oddly enough, the Moriarty in the last Sherlock Holmes movie. That wasn't a very good movie, but the Moriarty was great for those same reasons.
No, definitely, that was a good scene. Very intense scene. I felt
Yeah,
like
so- and then
lived up to the.
And then I loved the part that came afterwards where Khan is much more of Spock's nemesis in this movie than he is
Yes.
Kirk's. And honestly, I thought that was more fitting in this case, in this interpretation of Khan, because it didn't
Because Khan's that genius guy who, because he supposedly knows and more than everybody else.
well, it's kind of like the Joker phenomenon, the old Batman and the new Batman. It was like Jack Nicholson's Joker was the perfect adversary for Batman in that movie, but he would not have been the same one for Christian Bale's Batman. But
Yeah.
Heath Ledger is a great adversary for Christian Bale's Batman, but not for the old 1989 Batman.
Right.
So it's kind of the same way here, where it's like the Khan in Wrath of Khan was a great nemesis for Kirk, and it worked really well in that favor.
It did because Kirk is super logical.
Kirk? Khan.
Kirk-
No, sorry.
Yeah. But it's like in this new interpretation.
Khan is super like calculated, and Spock is super logical.
Yes.
And kind of like that was a good like match made there.
Yeah, it was like in the original Wrath of Khan, Khan himself is much more of an emotional creature. He's still incredibly intelligent, incredibly calculating, but he's much more driven by passion and rage than he is in this movie. And while it's still there, he's much more calculated about it in this
I mean,
one.
I felt like they hid the rage. He kept it hidden until like that scene in the ship where he crushed the dude's head. Like you could see that rage come out.
Oh yeah, and
Which is what a calculating villain would do.
Right.
Yeah, and like
very calculated.
My point is like this is a very different interpretation of Khan, but it really worked in its favor in the way they presented it, and I love that.
Because that cold dish shit.
Right, because him versus Spock, it really worked.
And I really
it was a more
liked
even match.
Right.
Like I love the part where after he knocks Kirk out and he holds him at gunpoint, and they just start playing like verbal chess with each other, Khan and Spock back and forth. Like it's like, well, you do this, and then I would do this. And basically has this great little like verbal chess game with each other. And I thought that was really fucking fantastic.
I liked that too. Yes.
And then he has an awesome line you see all in the trailers like, "Shall we begin?" So shit like that was just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then we come into the big thing, which has alienated a lot of people, and I'll be curious to read your reaction to this, Sarah, is the fact that the last act of the movie basically recreates the last act from Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, that for me was a little weird as well.
Now, it's like, personally, I didn't mind it as much as a lot of people. I will admit it was distracting because all you're thinking of, unless for Raj here who hasn't seen Wrath of Khan.
I was about to chime in for not having seen it. It worked perfectly for me.
For those who have seen Wrath of Khan, all you can really think of is like, oh, this is Wrath of Khan. It's no longer just J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. It's, oh, we're just making Wrath of Khan then. Okay. Now, granted, that being said, I kind of enjoyed it as kind of a fun little what-if scenario. Like, what if Kirk went instead of Spock?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it from that perspective. Of course, there's a lot more to it since they actually had budget for this one.
they actually had budget, and okay, you knew Kirk wasn't going to stay dead.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Okay. As soon as McCoy said in the movie that Khan's blood regenerates like nothing he'd ever seen, you knew that was going to come back into play.
Yeah.
Kirk dies.
Hooray, foreshadowing.
I thought it was enough foreshadowing, though. It wasn't too much.
As soon as Kirk died, I immediately said, okay, just inject him with Khan's blood and he'll be fine.
Well,
Chop, chop.
they did that with the warp drive, too, and I caught that, too, was the fact there is a point where they just say, what was the line? Like, Scott's explained, you see this? This is incredibly sensitive, incredibly radioactive place. Like, oh, they're going to do the scene from Wrath of Khan. Okay.
Yeah.
And
McCoy tested the Khan's blood on a Tribble, which was another, which was a nice nod to trouble with Tribbles and trials and tribulations.
Yeah, I felt like there was enough foreshadowing, but it wasn't overbearing. It wasn't too much. So I definitely thought they did just the right amount of foreshadowing there.
Yeah, I would agree on that point. There's something I was say. And here's another little side note, not entirely relevant to the movie, but I want to see a TV show of Scotty and his oyster sidekick going on their own merry adventures.
Yeah, that
would be fun.
Their little adventure in San Francisco.
Like the adventures of Scotty and Oyster Boy.
Oyster Boy who never says anything.
No, he just kind of sits there, and that'd be his awesome part.
Yeah. It looks like we're getting Enterprise again, most likely.
Enterprise sucked, in my opinion. I'm sorry if I isolate other Trekkie fans.
I'm guessing you're going with the words of Decay in Futurama.
Way
to ruin the franchise, Bakula.
Yes.
I know my stepmother loved that series, though.
Okay.
I'm not Trekkie, so I'm just you guys are coming.
My mom liked it. I tried to get into it. It had potential, but I didn't like the pacing, and the character development was too slow for me. I really wish they would have made a spin-off with the time ship relativity. Because then...
They did. It was called The Movie. They even mentioned the damn Beagle.
Just from a technical point of view, I just want to inject in the conversation right here. I really thought that they did a great job with the cinematography, the audio, especially the IMAX sound system.
And they really lowered the lens flare.
Yeah, they did. They lowered the lens flare and that bass, so you could feel the theater. Like, oh my god, it just made it that much more intense.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like I said, even though the IMAX wasn't perfect, like a lot of the stuff, like when they're flying in space and all that stuff, and like the ships crashing, that looked fucking amazing.
When they were at warp, that was cool.
Kind of repetitive though.
I was okay with it.
I loved how they crystallized.
Awesome. Like, yeah, they're just like, cool. By the third, okay. They
Totally
didn't
cool.
overdo it, but it's starting to get to the point where it's just like it lost its kind of specialness.
You were kind of over it.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
It didn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
I still thought that.
It was still a cool effect, but just like
It looked good.
they were, yeah, they were.
I would actually still like to see a time travel Star Trek spin-off.
We
As I
did. Wasn't
said,
that
that's
called Star Trek 4?
No, as I said, that's what
Save
this
the
is.
whales.
No, I'll.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other thing we'll
Although
talk about,
that was shot at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
though. Oh, neat. But one thing I don't think we touched about was the general use of the supporting crew this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hit and miss.
No, here's the thing, because I noticed that what they tried to do this time was focus more on the ones they didn't really use last time.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to pause for a second. We only have 3 minutes left on the camera, so I got to delete some footage. I'll be right back.
And we're back.
Okay. Back to what we're talking about, though.
Supporting cast.
Yes. I was
So
like,
as I was saying, sorry I just interrupted you, but
it's okay. Go ahead.
anyway, it seemed like, yeah, they were focusing more on the guys they didn't really give time to, like in the last movie this time around, like Sulu, for example. Like, you didn't really get much in the last movie.
Sulu gets a nice little monologue, like a nice little quick threatening scene.
And a temporary promotion to acting captain.
Yeah.
That was nice. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was actually a fun little 5-minute scene where basically
Yeah.
says, "Do not test me, you will fail."
Yeah, and then the guy next one goes, "Remind me not to piss
Yeah.
you off."
And it's like, if you do not surrender, I'll make another Harold and Kumar movie.
In all fairness, the third one wasn't bad. It was actually decent.
I enjoy the Harold and Kumar movies,
Second one was
particularly
terrible.
because it makes fun of the Indian stereotype, which I kind of like making fun of my own people sometimes. Just
Really? You? Racist jokes? Everyone gathered.
But the second
It's fun
movie
to
was,
watch.
second movie was terrible.
We'll make
I
a
tried-
flash forward season 2. But yeah, it's like, Chekhov really didn't have much to do, really.
Oh,
Sorry, what?
that was the other thing that bugged
What?
me. Do you remember they said that they couldn't lock on to the guys to try and teleport them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, let me get
transport.
this straight. You can lock on to someone falling down at God knows how many miles per hour to the depths of the earth in a near crumbling planet, but you can't track someone going on a car?
Well, to be fair, most of their systems were damaged, too.
Right,
Yes.
there was shit in the way, you know. Like the
Okay,
stuff
yeah,
in the
you
way.
made a good point there.
They said that if there's anything blocking the beam, you know, obviously it wouldn't work. They need a solid path.
And Chekhov.
But that wasn't their argument. They're
Excuse me.
saying they weren't
Chekhov
staying
was
still.
promoted while
But that
Scotty
is a
was
good
off the
point.
ship.
Yeah. So, that's a bit of a nitpick, but yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there. And of course, you had the last fight scene between Khan and Spock, which was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of. At this point, you kind of really distracted by the whole Wrath of Khan remake thing.
Yeah.
That it's kind of hard to really get into it. Like, and here's the thing, especially if we're going back to the famous thing: is Spock says Khan. Khan.
But where was the echo? Where was the echo?
No, we didn't get a Khan. A few seconds later, Khan.
Okay, in all fairness, okay, I should just realized it's more the echo was the echoing of the movie.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
IMAX theater.
That's right. I just made a metaphorical echo joke, not an actual one, because I'm pulling at straws here.
And of
Moving
course,
on.
and I watched the Cinema Snob review on this, and we brought up a very good point, where it's just like, if you've watched Wrath of Khan, Roz, this probably didn't bother you. Therefore,
Probably did.
like, you're at this point, like, that line at this point has become so much of a joke that when Spock says it here, you're either gonna cringe or you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
and the first time I saw it, I laughed, and I kind of laughed a little bit the second time too.
And you counted down.
I counted down because I knew it was coming. So, because like it worked in the original Wrath of Khan. It was, of course, Kirk was technically acting in that particular scene, both literally and
Yeah.
figuratively.
Yes.
But Raj has no idea what I'm talking about. I still nodding.
I'm just
his head.
nodding.
Yeah. But it's
No,
like,
because I'm getting,
I'm still-
absorbing the story here.
yeah, I still kind of like the fact they threw it in there. That being said, it was very distracting and it kind of took you out of the moment. Because,
Yeah.
like, even though they remade the same scene, the dialogue was still different and applicable to that particular character, and it still
Admittedly,
worked for that.
The humor in some of it also kind of ruined the impact, like the part where it's just like, you sacrifice your life for the crew, and then Kirk just goes, "It's what you would have done." And I just could
Oh,
not stop
yeah.
laughing. It's just like,
Yeah, we were like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, that
I was like, oh, it's like, the
That-
moment's ruined.
that
They
was
did do
that
some
was
funny
straining.
Now, a lot of scenes were funny, but that one was more on the nose because,
Ooh.
again, if you've seen Wrath of Khan, you know that Spock's the one that does instead of Kirk. So again, this doesn't bother you.
right.
This isn't applicable to you.
Right. No, but I thought they did some funny, like, you know, they put a lot of humor in this movie, like, you know, when they were having having serious conversation, and some dude is riding a missile in the background, like, all blurred out. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, the oyster
the
boy.
oyster boy, he's like riding a missile like a horse, like, yeah!
That's why I want about the adventures of Scotty and Oyster Boy. Make it happen, Hollywood.
I thought that was really funny. They did similar things to that.
Oh my
throughout the
God.
movie.
What?
With that image, we shall call the movie Dr. Scotty Love.
Oh my god! I would love to fucking see that. Anyway,
awesome.
Does anyone else have anything to add to this at this point? Because we've been on, I think, for like 45 minutes, so we should probably wrap this up.
I think we've said basically everything. I know we usually do trailers, but
We had no trailers. This is IMAX.
Yeah,
So,
no trailers.
Another benefit to IMAX.
yeah.
No, the benefit of the Tech Museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
True.
So, final thoughts, guys?
Go see it. It's great.
Yeah,
I liked
it's okay. Not quite as strong as the first one. Like
Yes.
it felt like
Honestly, I like this one better.
For
Really?
me, it's the issue.
Yeah.
it. I thought it was just as good as the first one. I'm gonna agree with Michael here. It's probably just as good as the first one.
Maybe it's because I like the villain a lot better than this one. He's much more interesting.
I thought he was
That
much more.
he was,
much
but,
more intense in this one. The villain.
I know. It felt. I don't know. Sure. I felt like a lot of the characters, for me, a lot of the character moments felt like a little kind of hamstringed in. Like the
I
thing.
don't know about that.
Okay, Spock and Uhura, their little.
Okay,
their
yeah,
little
I will agree
tiff.
on that.
Wait,
What
what part?
Okay, the fact that they're having a tiff for like half the movie, and what did that do? It didn't do anything. It didn't slow down the operation.
That entire
it just
relationship
slowed
is
down
forced.
the movie.
I enjoyed that.
It's okay, Sarah.
I enjoyed that actually.
It was kind of pointless, though. I will definitely
It was
agree with Grant on
pointless,
that.
but it was one of those humorous things they throw in there where it's like a break from the movie.
But at the same time, it was more of a look. They're in a relationship. That being said, I did leave one funny line that Grant you missed was when they're in the elevator and Kirk looks at her and he goes, "Wait, are you guys fighting? What is that even like?"
Okay, that joke was good.
that idea.
But they're trying to show that whole mortality thing. It was.
I like that though.
Yeah, no, they were showing
but the fact that
Spock's softer
it's like
side, you
they
know?
could have done that in a much better way. Like the thing between Kirk and Spock in the end.
Yeah.
It accomplished the same goal without the tediousness of just like of a non-pointless
Argument?
Yeah.
Well, it's like I liked Kirk's story with learning how to become a better captain and a better leader. I liked how trying to.
Right.
Yeah.
I like how he kind of goes through his own journey, trying to become just a finally a good captain who actually realizes consequences.
Right.
It's like I liked Spock's journey with how he becomes an idea of ideal mortality, not so much with the relationship thing, but
it did add to it though. I felt.
yeah, and I like the relationship between the crew and Khan. I like Khan's story. I like
Right.
like I thought there was a lot to it. I did like because a lot of the actors at this point are very comfortable in these characters, and
Right.
it shows.
And I felt like most of this movie just worked.
There are a lot of elements in here that work. It is a fun sci-fi action adventure Trek homage.
So I do think, honestly, in my opinion, I think this movie's, like Raj said, as good, if not better, in my opinion. Because like it has a good story. It has a good story with a few unnecessary elements. I will freely admit.
Right.
But like a great villain,
characters were
great characters.
good.
It's a lot of fun. The story
is
can get a
fun.
little convoluted.
And I felt like they did a really good job at the backstory of these characters when it was needed. They didn't do any extra.
Well, except for the relationship thing.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. Except for that, I thought that was kind of like a thing just to throw in there for humorous purposes. But
It
besides
wasn't too
that, I
funny.
felt like
Yeah. And also with the crew, like, although I said I'm glad they kind of focused more on Sulu, it did feel like a lot of the other characters kind of got put in the back burner as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like, I think my issue is that everything felt less balanced this time around compared to the first one.
I can kind of see where you're coming from, but
I feel like
at
they
the
did
same
kinda-
time, a lot of the characters didn't really get that much attention in the first movie anyway.
right.
Yeah.
Like Chekhov still didn't get that much attention in the first movie. He didn't get much attention here.
Yeah, well, at least in the first movie, he did more, though. Like, he was
Not
basically...
really. He just kind of saves him from the chasm from the Vulcan falling apart, but that's about it.
Yeah, which is more than he did in this.
He saved the warp drive.
I thought that...
He
No.
may have had small parts.
No,
but
he
they were
didn't. He tried to, but it didn't work. And then
He-
Kirk had to go in and fix
He
everything.
saved Kirk and Scotty.
Yeah.
He did do
How
that.
did he save Kirk?
The
The railway, remember?
Wait, what? The railway?
Oh, yeah, there was that.
Oh,
I mean, I will admit the blonde was kind of useless, except for the admiral's daughter, but that was about it for that.
She was pretty much a plot
she
device.
was a key plot device.
Yeah, plot device. But other than that, all the characters I really enjoyed. I just really like this movie.
I thought
I
it tied
enjoyed
together
it.
real well.
I had a good time watching it. I'll
Yeah.
admit that.
It's
Okay.
like, I will admit, though, even though I don't think it's quite, like I said, quite as good as the first one, the difference in quality is so negligible.
Mm-hmm.
And in all fairness, I think it's just, as you said, even though it's like, as I said, I have my issues with the balance in terms of like how timing everything worked, and also about necessity of things.
Mm-hmm.
I will also agree with you. The villain this time around was much better.
yeah.
Yeah.
The villain is awesome in here. Yes.
I'm sorry, but Benedict Cumberbatch much better than Eric Bana.
Yeah.
So you're taking this movie as a standalone movie, great.
Yeah. And I'm gonna make a personal vouch right here, or try to like set a petition or something like that, but Benedict Cumberbatch as Brainiac in Man of Steel 2. I'm just gonna say it. Seriously, think about it. It would be awesome.
All right.
That's about all I have to say, unless you guys have anything else to say.
Live long and prosper.
All right. Okay, in that case, I think there's
Watch
only
it
one.
in IMAX.
There's only one true way to end a Wrath of Khan Part 2 review, and I want everyone to say Khan on 3.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Wait, what about Live